Good afternoon. Michael Mazarang here again. And today I'm really lucky to be able to take you to a house that is under construction. This client reached out to me last year and is having this house custom built in Charlotte in the 28226 zip code. The client is working with a spec builder, a builder that builds custom homes. So this homeowner is going to spend extra money to make sure that this foundation is built not only properly, but with the most advantageous technology to keep the crawl space healthy. As you can see, this house will be equipped with gutters. The graders have a little bit of work to do. Final grade will have to be touched up here. But you can see where the crawl space vents will be located. Many of these houses these days, new construction, are built pre-encapsulated, and it's good to see that this homeowner has chosen the healthier choice of augmenting these crawl space vents to be more productive. We're still under vented code, and what we're going to do at this home is we're going to install an Atmox controlled ventilation system. The system will regulate the airflow that's coming in and out of these crawl space vents by a factor of dew point. And you can see this is a lovely lot. One of my favorites I've seen here in the city of Charlotte lately. It's a pretty fall day, so we have the fall colors are certainly nice today here in late October. But this crawl space is going to be about 4,000 square feet. And this is what folks don't really understand. The bigger the crawl space, the harder it is to keep it healthy. And those that choose to encapsulate these types of situations where you have 4,000 square feet, you'll see companies trying to install multiple dehumidifiers. Perhaps some will even try to condition the space with the existing mechanicals. This end of the crawl space is pretty tall, and it gets taller in the back, and I'll crawl to that area here shortly. But as you can see, doing a forced air situation or running multiple dehumidifiers in this environment would not only use more energy, but it would pretty much destroy the air quality. You can see here, this house was built during the summer, and some of these joists do have a little bit of growth on them. Not bad, but it's important if you're building a house in the southeast and it's in the summertime when you're under construction. Most of the wood is pretty green coming from the lumber yards, and it's wise to have an industrial mold cleaning service performed before you insulate the subfloor. You can see here a couple of pockets, so we're going to make sure that gets done before it gets insulated. The temporary vapor barrier that is here today will be replaced with a permanent vapor barrier. And you can see here, we've got a 100% efficient HVAC exchanger. You can see the clean air intake and exhaust, as this is a gas operated HVAC exchanger. So all the more reason to keep the crawl space ventilated. I've never really understood why there would be a recommendation to encapsulate a crawl space that is operating off of gas, it is gas fired like this unit is. Even though it's got the 100% efficiency and the intake air, exhaust air per code, still as a backup safety precaution, it's certainly nice to be able to ventilate with the outside air with an efficient system. So you can see here, builder's got a little bit of work to do. And our next stage of the video will be to show you the deployment of the system. We're going to set up a network of intake fans, exhaust fans, dead corner fans, and I may do a couple of pipe fans on this one as well. We've got quite a large expanse back in the corner there that opens up and goes for another 1,500 square feet. So you can see, you know, this is a traditionally stick-built house. We've got standard crawlspace piers, 8x16 CMUs. We've got a drop girder system. You can see a little bit of microbial growth on the drop girder system here as well. So we really like to have that cleaned so we can have a fresh start here. Yeah, you can see it's quite heavy here on this drop girder. But yeah, we appreciate you joining us for stage one. Look forward to showing stage two when the home is completed. And we'll talk more about how we integrate the controlled ventilation system into the existing crawl space vents, making this a really efficient, dry, and healthy crawl space. We'll see you here soon. Thank you. Michael Mazarang here again, and we're here for part two of the video. The home is now completed, the construction completed, and looks a lot different from the first time I was here. The vents, of course, have now been completely installed, including the vent wells, of course, which we're going to see here. We've decided to do a hybrid program on the crawl space on this house. Looks like some pea gravel needed here in these vent wells. We'll have to get that added tomorrow. But instead of doing an encapsulation, which is commonly done, we decided to do an Atmox controlled ventilation system on this home. And you can see it's a 4,000 square foot home. It's on the crawl space, and that's a lot of square footage to condition. And we're walking around here to the back side. You can see the footprint really did not allow for a lot of vents. So if this was a traditional vented crawl space, there's simply not enough vents to get good air exchange. And this is where the argument for the encapsulation becomes so powerful and what really dominates the industry these days. But instead, we're kind of doing the best of both worlds. All the way over here on the far side are our exhaust vents for the system. These two locations are where the air is exhausting from the crawl space. The only other two vents on this entire house are over on the corner. And of course, they're strategically blocked. So as with an encapsulation, most of these vents have been professionally sealed from the inside. And now I'll take you around the back to show how we deployed this hybrid controlled ventilation technology, or an Atmox system, to improve the ventilation of the foundation of this home, provide good air quality, as well as solving the moisture problems that would be common on a 4,000 square foot crawl space. Since the house is on a sloped lot, the right side of the crawl space is extremely tight. But here on the left, it's pretty roomy. So what we've done is we've already deployed our dehumidifier. That was done around Christmas time of last year when the house was under construction, to try to provide as much moisture control as we could. And it is a Santa Fe 90 pint dehumidifier. It's the big one, and we needed the extra drying power of this unit. So this unit's been deployed for a good 6 months now. Now that the house is complete, we are now putting in the Atmox system. This is the Atmox B box, which is the central hub of the entire system. Now the dehumidifier is going to be hooked up to our B box controller, and the software that operates the system will determine when this dehumidifier fires. Notice it is running today. We do have a warm, humid day outside, so we're not using the outside air. The intake areas for the system are off, and we are running the dehumidifier and the dead corner fans. And I'm going to crawl to a dead corner fan location. Because of the square footage of this crawl space being 4,000 square feet, We're moving the air from this higher section of the crawl space over to the right side. This is what we call a dead corner fan. And there's 5 or 6 of these spaced out throughout the crawl space environment. As it gets tighter here, the more difficult it is to move that air from one side of the crawl space to the other. And that's the fallacy of these encapsulated systems. An encapsulated system would operate on the same premise basically. So how do you get the dehumidified air over to the right side, which is really tight? Here's another dead corner fan. That's how we do it. So in order to move the air underneath that drop girder moves to the right side of the crawl space that you saw in the beginning. So the air is being moved through these series of dead corners, through these dead pockets over to the other side, and our exhaust air will exhaust the stale air. So now you become you see that a hybrid system was the more appropriate choice. An encapsulation would have been inefficient, and based on the amount of vents on this house, it certainly wouldn't have been ventilated very well. So the Atmox system solves that issue by merging the technology of fans, intake fans, exhaust fans, dead corner fans, and the dehumidifier, which bridge both technologies together in a hybrid program to make sure that this house has low moisture as well as a good column of healthy air to use. Here we're at the far left side of the house again. You can see one of the intakes. This is an Atmox triple intake fan. There are 2 of these on this side of the house. This is our intake air. Notice right now the fans are not running, so we are not bringing in the moist air to intermingle with the crawl space. Yet we are running the dead corner fans, which you just saw, as well as the dehumidifier today to keep the moisture levels down. No tagging insulation, no microbial growth. This house, if the system is maintained and calibrated properly, will never grow mold and won't have moisture problems, and will maintain a healthy air column in the domicile. So if you have any questions about encapsulating traditional vented crawl spaces or bridging the 2 technologies together, give us a call and we can talk more about this. The Atmox system is a great way to do this, and the system is not generally known in the public. So we'd love to tell you about it. We can set a time to come to your house, set an appointment, evaluate it. If your house is under construction, that's a great time to be able to implement that program into the design. You can work with your builder or your architect to integrate the controlled ventilation technology into the plans. You can call me. I'll be glad to help to bridge that gap. Please call us at the number at the bottom of your screen or at the website, and I look forward to talking to you about crawl space science, crawl space health, encapsulations, controlled ventilation systems, waterproofing, crawl space moisture control, drainage systems, crawl space water intrusion, any of these types of things you might deal with in a crawl space, mold remediations, insulation. Hope you have a good rest of the day. We appreciate you joining us to finish this installation that we started earlier, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.